Level 1, the recruit. You sign the papers at a folding table in a strip mall recruiting office, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, and the recruiter shakes your hand like you just won something. You don't find out until years later exactly what the thing you won costs. You're 19. You played football, you lift in your garage, you've watched every war movie twice and think that means something. It doesn't. The bus to Fort Benning pulls up before dawn, and they shave your head in the first hour, hand you a uniform 2 sizes wrong, and a drill sergeant named Staff Sergeant Kowalski gets 3 inches from your face and tells you that you are nothing. Not a threat, not a promise, just a fact he's stating for the record. You believe him, because at that exact moment, it's true. 10 weeks of running, shooting, low crawling through mud that gets into places mud shouldn't reach, and you graduate. Your mother cries at the ceremony. You feel proud for about an hour. Then airborne school swallows you whole. 3 weeks, 4 static line jumps, 1 jump master who doesn't wait for you to be ready before he shoves you out the door at 1,250 feet. You fall through empty air long enough to question every decision that led you here. And then the canopy opens, and you land hard, and you survive. And you do it 3 more times, because apparently once wasn't the point. You earn your wings. You're still not close to a Green Beret. At Fort Bragg, you watch men in tan berets walk past a formation of privates like your entire platoon is furniture. They don't look at you. You don't exist to them yet, and here's the part nobody tells incoming privates. Existing to them is a privilege you have to apply for. You spend your first year in a regular infantry unit, cleaning rifles you'll never fire in anger, standing in formation in rain that doesn't care about your enlistment contract, saving every dollar for a life you haven't earned yet. 11 months in, you write the request for Special Forces assessment and selection. Your platoon sergeant reads it, looks up, and tells you 90% of guys who look exactly like you wash out in the first week. You don't argue. You just intend to be the 10% nobody bet on. Level 2, the candidate. Selection. Everyone just calls it selection, capital S, like the word alone should be enough warning. Is 3 weeks built to break you in ways your recruiter conveniently never mentioned. 400 men show up at Camp McCall on day 1. 150 will still be standing at the end, and the cadre won't tell you the time standard, the pass rate, or whether the run you just finished was good enough, because not knowing is the actual test, not your legs. Week 1 is physical events back-to-back with no explanation. Push-ups, a timed run, a 12-mile ruck under 45 pounds that ends with your feet unrecognizable inside your boots. Week 2 is land navigation through swamp and pine forest, alone, with a map, a compass, and a list of points to hit before a deadline nobody announces. You walk 20 miles a day on no real sleep and less real food. You fall. You get back up because stopping is a decision, and you haven't decided to make it yet. Men quit constantly. They walk to a cadre member, say 2 words, and a truck appears out of nowhere like it was always waiting for exactly this. Nobody comments when someone climbs in. You keep walking. Week 3 is team week, and the tasks stop making sense on purpose. Move a telephone pole across a field for no reason anyone explains. Build a raft out of barrels and rope that'll never touch water for a real mission. The cadre aren't grading the pole. They're grading who leads, who follows, and who starts complaining under exhaustion loud enough for a clipboard to notice. At the end, they read a list of names in a gymnasium that smells like bleach and fear. Yours is on it. A cadre sergeant named Sergeant First Class Alvarez shakes your hand for exactly 1 second. No ceremony in it at all. Selection was the easy part, he says. Nobody tells you that on purpose, because if they did, half of you wouldn't show up tomorrow. You're about to find out exactly what he means. Level 3, the Qualification soldier. The Q course is 18 months designed to convert a soldier into a Green Beret piece by piece. And it starts with small unit tactics. How to move through terrain without being seen. How to build an ambush. How to survive being caught in one. You live in the field for weeks straight. Cold rations, no showers, radios that crackle with instructors testing whether exhaustion makes you sloppy. Then comes your specialty track. You're assigned Weapons Sergeant 18 Charlie, and for months you learn firearms built across 4 continents: American, Russian, Chinese, Belgian, until you can field strip any of them blindfolded and your shoulder is permanently bruised from the recoil count. Then language school takes 6 months whole, 8 hours of classroom a day and another 8 of homework, 5,000 vocabulary words, a new alphabet, until you can operate a conversation in a country you've genuinely never set foot in. Most candidates get recycled out of language school and have to restart the clock. You don't. Here's the twist nobody preps you for. The hardest school isn't the guns or the language, it's Robin Sage. A month embedded with civilian volunteers in the Carolina woods who've spent years perfecting the art of testing candidates by simply refusing to respect you. You have to lead a guerrilla force of people who owe you nothing and argue with every order, live on what they eat, sleep where they sleep, and prove you can build trust with people actively trying to withhold it. You pass. Back at Bragg, in a room that fits maybe 30 people, a quiet warrant officer named Boyd sets a Green Beret on your head, and this time, you're the one who can't stop crying, not your mother. Boyd doesn't offer congratulations. The beret's wool, he says. What it means is the part you haven't paid for yet. You'll spend the next 15 years finding out exactly what he meant, one deployment at a time. Level 4, the team member. You're assigned to a 12-man Operational Detachment Alpha, an ODA, the actual working unit of Army Special Forces, as the junior weapons sergeant on a team that's already been through 3 rotations without you. Your first deployment is Iraq, training a platoon of local soldiers you're never quite sure you can trust, because some are patriots, some are hardened survivors of 3 separate wars, and some, you find out later the hard way, are quietly reporting your patrol schedule to the wrong people. At night, your team raids compounds where intelligence says insurgents are sleeping, kicking doors at 3 a.m. in neighborhoods where the enemy sometimes shoots first and sometimes doesn't shoot at all, and you never know which you're walking into until the door is already open. Your first firefight lasts 30 seconds and somehow takes 30 minutes off your life. Your team leader takes a round through the shoulder and you drag him behind a wall and apply pressure using training that, until that exact second, was just a memorized checklist and nothing more. He lives. Nobody on the team calls you the new guy after that night. 3 of the local soldiers you personally trained disappear with American rifles 1 week and resurface the next, shooting at your position from the tree line. Your team sergeant, a broad, unshakable man named Master Sergeant DeLuca, had warned you this would happen almost word for word. When you call your mother on a satellite phone and tell her everything's fine, DeLuca is standing close enough to hear it. Fine, he says once you hang up, not unkindly, is a word that means something different out here now. You're starting to understand exactly what he means, and you still have 8 months left on this deployment. Level 5. The senior operator. 4 deployments deep, you're the senior weapons sergeant now. 18 Bravo, 27 years old and carrying more combat inside you than most soldiers see across an entire career. Your team runs village stability operations in a valley in eastern Afghanistan. No nearby base, air support 20 minutes out on a good day, just 11 men holding a compound with whatever trust you can build over tea with village elders who've each lost someone to a different side of this war and might be reporting on you to either one by morning. You build a school. You train a local police force from scratch. You still take fire from the ridgeline above the village every few nights. And you still don't know which of the men drinking tea with you yesterday warned the shooters where to aim. When your intelligence is good, you win a firefight in 4 minutes flat and feel strangely nothing about it. Just relief that turns into exhaustion, turns into the next patrol. When it's wrong, your junior medic steps on a pressure plate during a routine sweep and loses both legs below the knee in a fraction of a second. And you're the one applying tourniquets meant for someone else while he keeps asking over and over if his legs are still there. He survives. You ride the helicopter holding his hand the entire way. 6 months later, you visit him at Walter Reed, and he thanks you for saving his life. You still, to this day, don't have the right answer for that. Level 6. The Tier 1 Operator. A man in plain clothes with no insignia and no name tag taps your shoulder outside the team room one afternoon and asks if you'd like to try out for a unit he isn't going to say out loud. You already know exactly which unit. Everyone in this world does. Selection lasts a month in mountains that make your first selection look like orientation day. 200 candidates start, a dozen finish, and against odds that shouldn't have favored you, you're one of them. 6 months of close quarters training follow. Shoot houses built inside decommissioned airplanes and full-scale embassy replicas, night vision optics worth more than your first car, until clearing a room stops being a skill and becomes something your hands just do without waiting for your permission. Your first mission with the unit is classified for the rest of your natural life, and so is every mission after it. You fly into countries most Americans couldn't find on an unlabeled map, execute in minutes, and are gone again before local police even arrive. A near-silent senior operator on your new team, a man everyone just calls Preacher, hands you the only rule that actually matters here on your first night. Your name never appears in any report the public will ever read, he says. You're a ghost now. Ghosts don't get credit. They get results, and that has to be enough. For the first time since Kowalski's voice in your ear at Benning, you realize it actually is enough. Level 7, the Commander. 20 years in, cortisone shots and pure willpower are the only things still holding your knees together, and you command a squadron of 100 operators now instead of clearing rooms yourself. You sit in a joint operations center at 2 in the morning, watching a live drone feed of a compound half a world away, weighing intelligence that's usually right and occasionally, dangerously, isn't. And either way, you're the one who signs the authorization tonight. The feed shows movement matching a pattern your analysts have tracked for 6 straight weeks, a bomb maker responsible for devices that haven't detonated yet, only because someone, somewhere, already stopped them once. You give the order. 6 minutes later, it's over, and 40 attacks nobody will ever hear about quietly stop being a threat to anyone. You step outside for air, and through a chain-link fence, you catch a new class of Green Beret candidates, standing in formation in the rain, getting screamed at by an instructor who sounds exactly like Kowalski did half a lifetime ago. For 1 second, the kid third from the left turns his head at precisely the angle you did at 19, at a folding table in a strip mall, signing papers for something he doesn't understand yet and won't for years. You go back inside. The feed is still live. There's still a war to run before sunrise, and it's yours to run.